Hi, my name is Uchiri. Today, as you can see, I will be making a transformer out of paper. To get started, I have to measure out the areas where I will be folding. This is probably the toughest process because it needs accuracy, which I'm not good at. After drawing out the lines, I use my pencil with the lead inside to lightly go over the folding lines to make it easier to fold. Since I'm using marker paper, I use a light box to do the fold that will be going the opposite way. And after those lines are in, I'll use a ruler to keep the fold straight and kind of fold over like this. Once the folds are done, I'll make sure it's the right way, like this, and it's time to start drawing. I'll start off by drawing the face. If you're not familiar with Transformers, I will be drawing out Optimus Prime because he's a truck, and I figured would be easiest to use with this folding template. To some extent, I do try to make everything fairly even, but it's my first time drawing a robot, so sorry if it looks weird. The main reason I drew the line in the middle was to try and keep everything proportionate and at least somewhat robot-like. Though I'm sure by this point you already can see that this will be a chibi version of Optimus Prime versus a standard version. Also, a quick fun fact is the Japanese name for Optimus is Convoy, which is a pretty cool name. After the head, I start drawing the body. I have to keep in mind that this portion will also have to connect to the truck version of him as well. So it's important to make sure all the lines connect as much as possible with each fold. I'm trying to make it look straight and robotic-like as much as possible, and I think I was using the first version of him for the model of this drawing. It's definitely out of my comfort zone, so I guess I simplified a lot of the details to make it easier, and I'm hoping that it will look like him after everything is done. Now it's time to draw the truck portion. I start by drawing in the tires and then some other minor details. At this time I had included a license plate, but you'll see that that disappears a bit later on. With the body down, I quickly draw in the truck details for the back portion and see how everything looks folded. This paper is a little thick, so the folds didn't come out as nicely as I was hoping for. And with the basic details of the truck down, I go back and add in the arms, which I struggled with some and somehow ended up angling them in a weird way. The reference pictures I was using weren't the best, so his hands might look a little too cute and stubby compared to what they actually are. But now that the base is pretty much done, let's lighten it with a kneaded eraser and magically add in the outline. I figure that's a pretty boring part, so we'll skip it and go right into coloring. For coloring, I mostly used Copic markers, but did use one graphite marker since I didn't have a darker gray. Since I wasn't planning to add in shading, I tried to make each color as flat as possible and go color by color, starting with gray and blue, then moving on to red and the remaining colors. By this point, I'm almost done with the blue, but have to color in the legs. And looking at the legs, they look kind of weird and short. I definitely should have added in more details here. But my favorite part of this was actually probably coloring in the red portion, since it really makes it look like Optimus Prime. Plus, red is one of my favorite colors. To get a flat color, I did have to go over each part 2 or 3 times, which might have used a lot of ink, but I'm kind of liking how it's turning out so far. To get this red, I did use the only 2 reds I have together to make it closer to his color. I used strong red and vermilion to get this blend. I don't have a wide selection of colors, nor am I the best at mixing colors, so some parts might not be 100% accurate in coloring, but I think it looks pretty cool for my first try. I'm almost done by this point and just need to add in the gray and wheels, which is a blue color. To get the lighter gray-white, which is hard to see in the video, I used a clear blender and grays to at least add in a bit of shading to the white parts. After the front portion of the coloring is done, I did add a small cutout of marker paper for the back of the truck. I kind of expected bleeding from the markers, but not this much. So for a quick fix, I just colored it and taped it to the back. So now that the coloring is down, this is what my transforming Optimus Prime looks like unfolded. I know it's kind of weird, but once it's folded, it's pretty cool. So let's take another look at it. Time to transform. And that's it for this time. Thank you to Aliff Tab3v for making the request to try something from Transformers. I definitely enjoyed doing this video. Thank you for watching, and please feel free to leave a comment or request below. Also, feel free to hit the subscribe button to see more like this.